Hi guys, it's Dinosaur Friend, and it's time for another Let's Play Super Mario Galaxy. So I went ahead and got all the stars as Luigi, got 121 stars, and now we're going to go ahead and finish the 121st star in this episode. So I do want to do pretty much everything that Super Mario Galaxy has to offer, and we actually have never been in this room. If you guys haven't noticed yet, we've never been in here. What is in this room? Well, I'll tell you. We'll just go in there right now and see what's up. Ooh. Yeah, it's Rosalina's storybook. So, yeah, let us begin then, shall we? So basically, this part is basically Rosalina's story. If you guys don't want to really sit through this, just go ahead and skip it. I'll add a little like clicky thing to skip to the actual thing. But this part really just gives a whole overview on Rosalina's backstory, which is pretty good in my opinion, just because we don't know much about her. But it also ties in with the end of the story later on. You guys will see. But anyways, Chapter 1, The Celestial Duo. Our story begins a very, very long time ago with a young girl. One day, this young girl spotted a rusted spaceship holding a small star child. What's your name? Are you lost? The girl asked the star child. I'm Luma, and I'm waiting for my mama. She's coming for me in a comet, said the star child, who had been waiting day and night. Ah, poor guy. Don't worry, I'll wait with you, the little girl promised Luma. It's kind of weird now calling it the Luma, because it's like a Luma, but its name is Luma. That's like me having a name called Human. My name is Human. Anyways, at nightfall, the little girl borrowed her father's telescope and peered into the sky. She looked and looked, but saw nothing. Hours turned into days, and then years, but still the sky revealed nothing. Finally, the little girl sighed and said to Luma, "If we stay here looking much longer, I'll be an old lady soon." But then she had an idea. Why don't we go out there and find your mother ourselves? The girl and Luma fixed up the rusty spaceship, and the two set sail into the starry sky. And this is how the search for the Celestial Mother began. Wow, I didn't know she was such an engineer. Wow. Chapter 2, Starbits. Days passed with no sight of the comet or even a single planet. Instead, asteroids extended for as far as the eye could see. If I had known it was going to take this long, I would have packed more jam, said the little girl above the rumble of her belly. Before they left, she packed all the essentials: telescope, butterfly net, stuffed bunny, bread, milk, jam, and apricot-flavored tea. But I guess she doesn't like meat. I forgot to bring water! At this, Luma burst into gales of laughter, and the girl began to pout. As long as I have star bits, I'll be fine, said Luma. Want some? The little girl couldn't stay mad after hearing this. Luma continued to laugh, and the girl couldn't help but join in. Alright, maybe just a nibble. Leaning far out of the ship, the pair began to collect star bits with the girl's net. They almost fell out a few times, but they kept on collecting. Well, I don't think actually falling out might be a bad idea, because you can't really move in space, if you understand physics. Without any propulsion, at least. The star bits tasted like honey. No. The Comet. A beam of light pierced through the ship's window. Thinking it was the morning sun, the girl peered through the window, only to find a turquoise-blue comet shimmering at her. The little girl shook the sleeping Luma awake and shouted excitedly, "We have to get to that comet!" The pair descended on the comet and found that it was made of ice. It looked high and low, but the Luma's mother was nowhere to be found. Exhausted, the little girl sat down with a flop, utterly unable to take another step. Look! Peering down at the icy ground where the Luma was pointing, the girl suddenly noticed clusters of starbits encased in the ice. Pretty good, huh? Finding starbits is my specialty, said the Luma, beaming. There's ice here, but it's so warm. I bet there's water here, too. The two decided to stay on the Comet for a while. Riding the turquoise Comet, the pair continued their search for the Luma's mother. Chapter 4, The Dream. One night, the girl dreamed about her own mother. "Where are you going, she asked her mother's retreating back. Without turning, her mother replied, "Don't fret, dearest. I'm not going anywhere. I'm always watching over you, like the sun in the day and the moon in the night." A wave of sadness washed over the girl. "What about when it rains and I can't see the sun or moon?" Her mother thought for a moment before responding. "I will turn into a star in the clouds and wait for your tears to dry." When she awoke, the girl's face was damp with tears. "You have starbits in your eyes," said Luma to the girl. Wiping her face, the girl replied, "These aren't starbits. I'm crying because I'll never see my mother again." At this, Luma began to cry too. "Mama, oh mama, wah." Sorry, I'm not good at crying bits. The pair traveled through the starry sky, and they encountered many other comets. Not one of them held a Luma's mother. Luma was despondent. Now, Luma, the rain clouds won't go away if you keep crying," the girl said, giving Luma a squeeze. "I'll give you a present if you stop." The girl closed her eyes gently. The girl closed her eyes and said gently, "I'll take care of you." With these words, she felt a small spark within her heart. Chapter 5, Home. Wow, this would make an incredibly awesome children's book. I would definitely read it to my kids. "The kitchen will go here, and the library will go over there," the girl said busily to herself. "We'll put the gates here." Ever since the girl took Luma under her care, she's been bustling about at a feverish pace. It's a lot of work, but it's worth it to make a happy home. Turned out that starbits weren't the only things buried in the ice. There were tools and furniture, and unlike any they had ever seen, and the girl used them to build a home. Looking at the completed house, Luma remarked, "Don't you think it's awfully big just for the two of us?" With a library, bedroom, kitchen, fountain, and gate, it was certainly spacious, but still, something seemed to be missing. "If only my father, brother, and mother were here," said the girl, wistfully. Indeed, the house was too large for two small residents. That night, clutching her favorite stuffed bunny close to her heart, the girl fell asleep in the starship. So that's basically how the observatory got built. Wow, she is such a little engineer. Chapter 6, Friends. Then one day, while the girls sat sipping tea, a tiny apricot planet appeared on the horizon. From the planet, another Luma of the same color emerged. "Do you two know each other?" the girl asked the two Lumas gleefully. Despite the girls' excitement, they seemed uneasy. The two Lumas neither drew closer nor backed away from each other. Instead, they just stared. Then one Luma broke the silence. "My mama." At once, the apricot Luma parroted back. "My mama, my mama, my mama." The two Lumas began to dance around the girl frantically, and neither showed any signs of stopping. The girl was so charmed by this adorable scene she couldn't help but laugh. And that's when something very strange happened. Suddenly, more Lumas began to pop out from the apricot planet, and they were all different colors, but they all shouted the same thing. "My mama, my mama." The sight of the shouting Lumas only made the girl laugh harder. What am I gonna do with all these children? The Lumas just stared blankly as she doubled over laughing. "I guess we'll have to name each and every one of you." Tomorrow, once she had finished naming them all, she would begin moving all the Lumas into the new house. Aww. How adorable. Chapter 7, The Telescope. After seeing their 100th comet, a sudden thought popped into the girl's head. I wonder if my home planet is still as blue as it was. That's when she remembered her father's telescope. Peeking into the telescope, a tiny blue dot floated into sight. It was smaller than a starbit. How strange. It's so far away, but it feels so close. She twisted the knob of the telescope and the blue dot grew until she could make out a grassy hill dotted with flowers. It seemed very familiar to her. Wow, that's one powerful telescope. Gosh, we gotta get our hands on one of those. Zooming in even closer, a terrace on the hill came into view. I used to go stargazing when I lived on my home planet. She remembered rubbing the sleep out of her eyes as she followed her father up to that hill to look at the stars. She remembered how she and her brother would sled down that hill. She remembered having picnics with her mother on that hill and on bright and windy days. And I want to go home. I want to go home right now. The girl burst into tears and the Lumas didn't know what to do. I want to go home. I want to go back to my house by the hill. I want to see my mother. The girl was shouting now, her face wet with tears. But I know she's not there. I knew all along she wasn't out there in the sky because she's sleeping under the tree on the hill. The girl's cries echoed through the stars and a hush fell over the area. That was pretty dark. I theorize that Rosalina's parents and family died due to the effects of spatial relativity, just because traveling out through space at a very fast speed, time gets all altered and stuff, and it becomes all weird. Though usually quite cheery, one day the girl became sad again. Luma drew close to her and tried to comfort her. Mama, you still have me. And don't be sad about your mama, because she's part of you. That means she's always close by. It's like me. I love starbits because they remind me of my mama. No, the girl said, unable to stop her tears. That big smile, look at it. A lonely look flickered across Luma's face, but it was soon replaced by a wide grin. I have an idea. I will transform into a comet. A soaring comet that can carry you all on this journey. With that, Luma trailing bands of white soared through the sky just as quickly as started to plummet back down. Kaboom! Kablam! The ground shook and a bright light poured out of the crater that the Luma had created. Bands of light twisted together to form a comet tail. And then Luma emerged, reborn as a comet. The girl's eyes could scarcely believe her eyes. But how? She kept asking. Our destinies as Lumas is to transform into different things, said the red Luma, who had suddenly appeared. Stars, comets, planets, we can become all of these things. When I grow up, I want to become a star that makes someone special smile, said a green Luma. A blue Luma chimed in. That Luma turned into a real cutie of a comet, didn't he? All the Lumas together said, "No more crying, Mama." Thank you, said the girl in a whisper, and she pulled the Lumas close and hugged them. From that day on, starbits no longer fell from the girl's eyes. The comet set forth for the girl's home planet, its long tail blazing proudly behind it. So that's basically how the observatory began to become mobile. So, the final chapter, Family. With its many Lumas and telescopes, the comet was quite a sight to behold. The girl and the Lumas were proud to call it home. At a welcoming party for her new Luma, the girl gathered everyone in the kitchen and said in a louder voice than usual, "Alright everyone, let's make a cake sprinkled with star bits, and it'll be a star cake." The Lumas excitedly began to gather the ingredients. As she watched the Lumas scurry about, the girl smiled and thought to herself, "This is my family now. I will stay with them until they're ready to leave the nest. And when they do leave, I'll see them off with a smile. Because that's what makes a mother happiest." That night, when the girl lay down to sleep, a soft light enveloped her and reminded her of the blue planet she once called home. But it would be nice to return home once every 100 years to nap in my favorite sleeping nook. The comet carrying the Lumas and the girl continues on this journey to this very day. With more family members in tow than can be counted, it's said that the comet visits the girl's home planet once every 100 years, its proud white tail glittering in the sky. Kind of sounds like Halley's Comet, but that comes like every 70 or so years. The end.
That's all.
That's all. My story is finished. So yeah, guys, this is a library. Basically, you can come back and read this story if you want, but that's kind of the story of Rosalina. It's kind of sad, kind of a downer, but I mean, this is kind of her origin. She kind of just lost everything just because she traveled in space for so long. But anyways, I guess I'll just end the episode here. We'll leave the 121st star for next episode because it's actually a pretty quick star. And then the next episode will also hold the final Bowser confrontation. So yeah, anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I shall see you guys on the next one.